Hello everybody, Razor Blade Mango here. Again, how weird is that to be on the receiving end of that directly? Like it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very strange. So this isn't a normal video. This is actually just going to be more of like a podcasty form, I guess. Kind of.
Yeah.
I guess. But today I have a very special guest who has been a longtime subscriber to my channel and who I now have the distinct pleasure of getting to talk to face to face. Oh, not face to face, but voice to voice. Claylex.
Hello,
Welcome
everybody.
to the show, good. Welcome to the show, good sir.
Very good to be here.
How are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
How was your Easter?
It was pretty good. We basically had the Easter on Saturday, not Sunday. Sunday was just normal day.
Mm-hmm. Why do you have it on Saturday?
'Cause we had dinner. There was a dinner planned with my cousins.
Oh, nice. Well, my Easter basically consisted of me taking my Switch to work and then just playing Mario Kart for like 8 hours. Like literally, all we did was I just walked up to my assistant director and was like, "I'm gonna hijack your office for today. I hope that's okay." And he just looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, that's fine."
That sounds great.
That was pretty awesome. And we were all like just huddled in the back. You know, we went out, we did stuff, but when I found out that I wasn't getting time and a half for Easter, I was like, "Oh, well, now I really don't care. I'm just going to whatever." That's bullshit though. Like I don't get time and a half. Like some places don't pay time and a half for Easter. I didn't realize that until like yesterday.
I'm
I've
sorry.
been at this I've been at this job for like almost 3 years now, and it's like I just now realized that I don't get time and a half for Easter. I feel like that should be like any holiday where In-N-Out is closed should be like a national holiday. We should get time and a half if In-N-Out is closed. And In-N-Out is open like every day except Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. But yeah. We don't really have a set plan for talking. We just kind of shooting the shit and see where this goes. So
yeah, basically,
this
shits and giggles kind of thing.
Shits and giggles, yeah. This is something new for me, at least. Because I'm normally used to, like, we're going to talk about this today. This is the topic. Like, even recording with other people, it's like, right, we're going to talk about PlayStation stuff. We're going to talk about Titanfall 2 or something. But this is just basically like, I don't know. Fuck.
Yeah, let's do our own stuff today.
I do what I want.
Yeah.
I do what I want. Spider-Man looks fucking good.
Yeah. I just saw like the 1 minute kind of trailer of it with new gameplay. It's very, very,
so good.
yeah, delicious. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's like the script, it felt like a scripted sequence with him in the truck. It still looked beautifully animated. Like, oh my god, it's like Spidey.
I wonder.
Sorry, go on.
I wonder if that's No, go for it.
No, that's all I was saying. I was like, you could go on, you continue.
I wonder if that's like where you have to like jam circle on the controller to like stop the truck. Like, cause I've been replaying. No, actually, you know what? Let's a more recent example. The new God of War actually has stuff that I've seen where you have to jam circle. So I wonder if that's like the Spider-Man stopping the truck. I wonder if that's a sequence that happens automatically once you've like stopped the truck, like taken its power away, or if you have to like jam circle to stop it. I wonder.
Yeah, because we know, of course, there's QuickTime events, so
yeah, which
it's like a double-edged sword, you know. Like,
yeah, we didn't see any in the alpha trailer though, so that was like all that looked really fluid. All that looked like it looked like like this was the big show where Sunset Overdrive was kind of like the warm up, the test for doing this kind of parkour stuff.
Yeah, because, like, it's very, very, like you said, it is very, very important for Spider-Man to be fluid because he's Spider-Man. So
Yes.
it's, I mean, I feel the web swinging, it does definitely help with his fluidity. And also, of course, the wall running. He's super fast when he wall runs. Like, I've never, at least to me, I've never seen him that fast when he wall runs. Like, he's just going in and out like it's nothing. And of course, like, I feel like that was an issue with some Spider-Man games, not all of them, that he was too slow. It's like he should be fast. He's freaking Spider-Man. This.
What was the last Spider-Man game you played?
The last game, I think, like, the last two I remember that I played was Web of Shadows, which I personally really, really loved, and Friend, what I think it was Friend or Foe. Those were the last two Spider-Man games I played.
The last one I played, and I'm gonna go back even further. The last one that I played was I think it might have been Ultimate Spider-Man. The one that was like the cell shaded one, like on the PS2.
Mm-hmm. That was
the last one I played.
Yeah, it was like, for me, it's like I thought it was okay, but I really hated the whole chase sequences, like, because again, Spider-Man and Venom were so freaking slow. So it took, like, well, the one thing I gotta give the developers this is that Spider-Man, the way his web swinging works, like, you actually, your webs actually cling to a building instead of an invisible cloud in the sky. Yes. And I thought that was excellent, and yeah, I'll be honest, I still thought he was a bit slow, but you have to be, it's almost like a bit of strategy. You gotta, like, cling the wall. Like, there's no buildings, then good luck swinging,
Yeah. I think the way it looks with this new one, it's like, I don't know if it's going to be... I mean, I'm pretty sure where, you will be swinging around the city, like, attaching the webs to buildings, or I think that's what it looks like. I hope that's what it is.
I agree. I really hope that's what they do, because if they do that, that's good, because again, it seems like he's got the speed and the correct scale to buildings kind of ordeal, so, like, again, it would be perfect.
Yeah. It would make the illusion of being Spider-Man a lot more fun.
That's like the thing that sometimes it's a hard thing to do with superhero games, because it's like, how can we envision them to be this person? And of course I have to mention the Batman Arkham games, because I felt like Batman. Yeah. I felt like Batman. Like, I felt like a 6'2", 220-pound man that could beat the shit out of criminals. Like,
and kind of becomes a ballerina in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, and it's like, again, the one thing I gotta say real quick about it is that Batman, of course, feels weighted. So it's like, again, like, apply somewhat the opposite to Spider-Man. He's supposed to feel light and, again, scale the walls and be fast and all that, because, again, he got bit by a radioactive spider, so he's no Batman. He's way faster and tougher than he is.
Yeah. And I wonder who the villains are. Like, besides Mr. Negative, and I think Kingpin and Shocker are in.
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah,
I think they are.
It's like, I don't hate Mr. Negative. I've recently read the comic books concerning Mr. Negative. He's a pretty cool villain. Just, it's 50-50 to me. It's like, he's cool, but not that cool, to be honest. Like, he's not as cool as, of course, Green Goblin or Venom or all the other, like, classic bad guys, but, like, he still holds his own as a pretty, at least, a foe that definitely gives Spider-Man a challenge, That was pretty creepy, though, at the end of the trailer, where he just smiles at Spider-Man with that creepy ass.
Oh, yeah. Where it fades to white or something. It fades to the title card.
Yeah. It's like, I can't remember though how he got his powers. It was some kind of, like, it wasn't magic. It was some kind of patch that he wore that reversed to his negative quote unquote negative personality or something. So it's like that's how he became Mr. Negative.
Interesting. Like my history with the Spider-Man comics is really light, like really light, probably compared to you, because I used to read them, and I like faintly remember Mr. Negative, but I kind of lost track of the whole Spider-Man thing like around, oh man, when I was like in maybe like 5th, 6th grade is when I kind of fell off the wagon, I guess.
Yeah, last again, I read the recent Spider-Man comics, and one of the first comic books I read was probably like after he came back from the Secret Wars, when he had the black suit, and it was just basically, you know, him going back to his normal life, but again having this alien costume with him, and it was pretty cool to see like the more origins of like his black suit. But yeah, it's like aside from that, it's like I tried to get into Spider-Gwen, but I was like, I can't really get. Not saying I hate the character, just can't get into it for now. You know.
When was the last, like, you've read the recent ones, like, when did you become, like, when was the first time you really, like, got into Spider-Man? If you're, like, a big Spider-Man fan.
When I watched the 1990s Spider-Man animated series.
Those are so good. Oh
I
my
know,
God,
right? Oh, like, it had great acting, decent, you know, at least for its time, great animation, actually. And actually, like, if I would be honest, if I had to say the most angriest Spider-Man, the 1990s would probably be it, because he was pissed sometimes. Like, especially when he was in the black suit and he was coming after Shocker, that one episode. Oh my God, he was so pissed. Like, you felt like you were scared. Like,
oh yeah, totally. It's just like I remember watching those when I was at my cousin's place, who like was a big comic book fan, which is really weird considering my cousin back then was like not really into superhero shit, but for some reason like Spider-Man, I remember Spider-Man and Batman were like the big ones.
Yeah, because like I think mainly, of course, why people got into Spider-Man, Batman, of course, back in the day was because I think of Spider-Man's like personality and like being. I mean, he was almost Superman, but of course, like he wasn't as powerful, but he still had his personality, his drives, his motives. And another thing too, though, is that he had to deal with Spider-Man was, of course, everybody in the city hated him because of J. Jonah Jameson, unlike Superman, where everybody loves him. And you know what though, it's like he didn't give a shit. He still wanted to help people. And it's like,
well, he's more relatable too. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And of course, Batman is like. Why people like Batman is because he's the tough human that can survive almost any situation, despite it being completely freaking ridiculous sometimes. Like,
yeah, I love Batman just because, like, not really anything to do with like. I mean, maybe the character that I've grown to appreciate, like the character a lot more over the years. But back then, like the reason I loved Batman is because of the villains and the atmosphere and everything.
Yeah, me too. It's like I think I'll admit I hate to say I think the main reason I love Batman is how he grows from being the simple, like, of course, the simple boy that his parents got killed. It's like, what is he gonna do? And then he grows up and then he travels around the world, becomes the best human fighter in the world or whatever. And then
he knows like a million different martial arts, which is fucking cool.
Yeah, if I put my nerd glass up, it's like actually he knows 127 martial arts. Like, but still, that's still a lot. Like,
yeah, and that's 126 more than I know.
120. Yeah, it's like 127 ways to take out an opponent. Like, yeah, like but still, like, yeah, and after that, of course, when Justice League came out, it's like, okay, I know Superman and all these other heroes, who else are they going to bring? They bring in Batman. I'm like, Batman? It's like, he's not going to work. And lo and behold, the Justice League show I watched, and I was like, oh my God, he's relevant,
I still think that's the best superhero show, like, ever made.
I know, like,
the original Justice League with, like, Kevin Conroy and,
Kevin Conroy.
What the hell is his name? That plays Superman. I always forget his
name. Tim Daly?
Tim Daly, yes.
Yeah, and then they replaced him later. It was like but you know the
Yeah.
George Newbern, he still sounds exactly like Tim Daly. So I was like, I didn't even notice
Yeah.
until somebody told me. And God, man,
That show's so fucking good. Like,
yeah,
have they released it on have they released it like on Blu-ray yet?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know. I recently got back into Teen Titans. I'm like, oh man, I love that show too. Like,
I haven't watched that in so long. Like the last episode of that I watched was the one where Robin actually does become like the new Slade.
yeah,
Which,
Apprentice, basically Apprentice. I think that was the episode called, and it's like, I think he only did that because his friends had this virus
Yeah.
in them, and yeah, that was a really good episode.
that one freaked me out. Like I saw that when I was like really young, and seeing like Robin actually like attack his friends. In the
I
Teen
know,
Titans,
yeah,
like,
that freaked me out too.
fuck.
It's always like
Dark.
it's always like at least see to me when I see like younger kids and it's like they love the superhero teams, but then when one member just basically tries to kill all the other members, it's freaky. Oh yeah, actually that reminds me. When I was younger, I did see Ultimate Avengers, and I saw the Hulk versus Avengers fight, and I'm like, it's not gonna be that bad. No, he completely destroyed everybody, and everybody was literally on their deathbeds just to calm him down, and like Captain America just slugged him twice. And he looked like he was about to die. Like, again, everybody looked like they were about to die, you know, and it's crazy.
Speaking of Spider-Man, what
Yeah.
what are the other PS4 exclusives that you're kind of like looking forward to?
I don't know about God of War. I mean, I see like a lot of people like they were bitching at me because I said the combat looked a bit too slow, and it's like I also kind of complained about the shoulder camera because I'm like, how am I supposed to see all these enemies? You know, Kratos back then it was the center camera and it was perfect because you could see all the enemies, and of course like they were like, is this the same studio that made the other God of Wars? No, it's a different studio.
No, it's the same.
Okay, so what are they called again? The studio?
Studio Santa Monica. Sony Santa Monica.
Sony Santa Monica is like, okay, so we're doing the shoulder thing, right? So it's like, that's okay. We'll just lower, not too much, but we'll lower the amount of enemies that are in. I'm like, okay, I can kind of deal with that as long as the combat is fun and it feels like a challenge, you know? And Kratos' sidekick, like I recently saw the gameplay trailers and like Kratos' sidekick like kicks so much ass. I thought he'd be a liability, but
I was worried about because like when it was first shown off, like I didn't really. I liked what I saw, but I wasn't convinced. That,
Yep.
Like this was gonna be like the best move for the series. And I'm really looking forward to the game. Like I cannot wait to play it. But stuff that I've seen still hasn't like completely wowed me when it comes to the way that the camera is or the way that the combat itself. I like the changes that they're doing. I think that they are necessary changes because like I can see where they don't just want to do the same formula but have it be, you know, switch out Greek for Norse mythology. But there's something about like, and I've seen other footage of it that hasn't been shown to the public. It's like a leak from maybe a Swedish version of the game. But it looks like it can get really claustrophobic when the camera is like that, and people have been comparing it to like Dark Souls with the camera, and it's like not really, because Dark Souls has more of kind of a central, like a center.
Yeah,
it's a center where like you still have area, like space around you to see. This is more like Batman, where like the Batman camera when he's just walking, like when he's fighting it'll zoom out, but it's almost like Batman, but instead of the camera moving out, it just stays at that point where he's like kind of on like the left side of the screen, and you have like more of a right view of everything. And the way it looks is just kind of, I can see where it could be a problem where it's really claustrophobic, especially when like the amount of enemies that can be on the screen and the amount of like health bars that pop up and then, like all this shit going on. It's like I'm still not convinced that they're gonna nail that the balance of it, but everything else about the game I'm totally on board for. Like everything else is just
it's like what were we gonna say?
It's just I'm not sure about the camera or the how the combat's gonna flow or anything like that.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think like I know like you can turn around quickly if an enemy is behind you, because you know your sidekick will tell you, oh, there's an enemy behind you, and you know it's all this or that. But I'm still like I think the one thing I know people are trying to compare it to The Last of Us, because again it's like the shoulder and the story orientation. I'll admit I'm as of today, well, you know, I don't like The Last of Us, you know, just my own opinion, whatever. But still, I'm like, if people are compared to Last of Us, I'm like, stop, because it is nothing like, it is nothing like The Last of Us, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does kind of look like it's taking inspiration from it, but at the same time, I'm like, no, it's not. They're still doing their own thing here.
The only way I can see it being, you know, reasonably compared to The Last of Us is it's got like a very similar concept where it's a grizzled old person has to take a younger, much less experienced NPC on like a road trip of murder, and they have to learn to like work together and grow. Like that's the only, but it's like the differences in that story I think are like vastly different kind of thing, where like Joel and Ellie, it's more of like, right, let me take this kid over here and I'll get paid for it, and then they gradually start to grow. God of War, from what I've seen, it's more of like Kratos and this kid have a past. They have a history that is not like you don't play in the game. Like in The Last of Us, all the history that you have with Ellie is in the game. Like you play all that history. With God of War, it's like there is a past. There's like maybe 9 to 10 years that we don't see, where Kratos and this kid kind of don't really connect or see eye to eye, but then like the mom dies for whatever reason, and now they're kind of forced to not rely on one another, but they're forced to be around each other and have to kind of like Kratos has to make this effort to be a father, and Atreus kind of has to make this effort to listen to his father and respect him, or try to respect him, something like that.
Yeah, it's like I'll give, at least to me, I'll give Santa Monica this. I have no idea what the plot is going to be in this. Like, it seems like it seems like they're really, really trying to like, okay, we'll show you gameplay, but we're gonna keep you out of the loop on what the story is. And I'll give them that. Because I really don't want to know the story, the story until it's released.
There is an end goal, like with the they say it in the trailer, where it's like they try to take her ashes to the highest peak in the Norse realms or whatever, and they have to go to a different realm in order to do that. But I wonder, especially with like the world serpent being, and like the little that I know about Norse mythology, it's like I wonder if maybe Kratos like wants nothing to do with Ragnarok, which could come up at some point, which I'm pretty sure will come up as a big deal at some point. But I wonder if like Kratos wants nothing to do with it, but he's kind of getting like dragged into it, just like the mere presence of him being there. Because I according to like the trailer, like the small little snippets you hear, is that the Norse gods know who Kratos is. and they see him and they're like, oh shit, like we do not want you here. Like you need to die. We don't want you.
Yeah, I mean,
But
understandable.
Kratos is kind of like, yeah, Kratos is kind of like, I don't want to be bothered. I just want to live this life with my wife and son.
And then,
So
yeah.
I wonder if that's gonna be brought. I wonder if that's gonna become like the big combative point. Like I can't even imagine like who the final boss would be in this game. Like in all the other games, it's like, right, Ares and Zeus. They are the end goals. They're the guys that have fucked you over. They're the guys you need to take down. I don't know who could potentially be like a final boss in this God of War. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the only one I can think of is either Thor, Loki, or Odin.
Yeah. That'd be really interesting if he teamed up with the king of the gods in the Norse mythology to like fight Loki or something like that. Like I think that would be interesting, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like. It's similar to Kingdom Hearts 3, where it's like I know what the start off point of this story is, but I don't know what is the end goal here.
Actually,
what is the end goal?
Yeah, it's like, speaking of Kingdom Hearts 3, it's like we're complete opposites. You know everything about it. It's like I have no idea what's going on in Kingdom Hearts 3. I only played and beat the first 2 games, so I have no idea.
Oh god. Yeah, I've kind of with Kingdom Hearts, I've like fallen off the bandwagon with the whole mobile thing. Like I love Kingdom Hearts. I know a lot of the lore behind it. But if you were to ask me things about like the mobile game that they have that supposedly has elements important for Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm just gonna be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like I don't know anything that has to do with like Key or Daybreak Town or whatever the hell they're doing in the mobile game, because I don't care, and I don't like that. I don't like that the mobile game, like all the mobile shit, is so important to Kingdom Hearts 3, and like in a lore that's already so convoluted, like needlessly convoluted, and they're just gonna mess with it even more. It's like just give me a Kingdom Hearts 3. Like don't make me have to do homework where I have to know all this other shit. And it's just frustrating for me at that point.
Yeah, basically do it like Witcher Free, where it's like, hey, you don't have to play the other games. You could just play that and still understand everything. And
it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I was gonna say real quick, I'm like, I don't know what's more ridiculous about Kingdom Hearts. It's long convoluted plots, or it's long names. Like Kingdom Hearts 2, 3.5, Remix, Final Edition Mix.
Yeah. They're pretty ridiculous. They get ridiculous with those names.
It's like, I see that, and it's like, oh, here's a new version of Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm like, what is different? Like, Final Mix? Like, what is different here?
Yeah, it's the point where it was like HD 2.8 Final Remix, and I was like, guys, just
stop.
Call it something. Like, don't call it that, please. Like, and then Nomura, of course, has to. Well, this is the reason. It's like, no, don't. Just don't call it that. Don't call it 1.5. Don't call it 2.5. You're just gonna confuse people.
Yeah, it's just because then it's like, oh. Yeah, especially for the perfectionists, it's like, oh, which game do I have to do in order? And then like,
I get that question a lot.
And then you're really sweating, and you're like, see, you go with 1, and then you go with 2, and then you go with the remix, and then you go with the final remix.
I just my answer to that, I always just tell people, I tell them, start with 1. Like, I don't care if Birth by Sleep is a prequel. I don't care. Like just start with the first one. If you like the first one, then skip Chain of Memories, just move on to 2. Like 1 and 2, that's all you like 1, 2, and oh my god, not even 1, 2 and Birth by, because you need Dream fuck, it's just,
yeah, it's okay.
Oh
but I was gonna say, like, I actually did get Chain of Memories, but I could not stand the stupid combat system. Like,
me neither.
Sorry, go on.
No, No, go for it.
No, I was gonna say real quick. I was like, it's like trying to. It's like, oh, it's like they're there and they're like, oh, here's a brilliant idea. Let's take Yu-Gi-Oh and try to put it in an action combat system,
Yeah.
and let's see how it goes. And then like I'm playing, I'm like, okay, so I got to beat this boss using the highest amount of damage cards, and it's like I had like 6 damage cards, right? The number 6. And it's like, oh, I do 6 damage each, and then it actually turns out I only had 3 damage. I'm like, I can't beat this boss with these cards, man. It's like, it was so like bullcrap because I couldn't do simple attacks because I'd have to have the correct cards for it.
Yeah, that always pissed me off. Even like in the opening levels, where they try teaching it to you.
I know, it's
like I just got stuck, and I was just like, I'm done. Like I don't want to.
It's like, yeah, I'll just watch the cutscenes on YouTube.
I don't. And then when you watch the cutscenes, it's just like I was having this conversation with one of my other friends last week about the dialogue in Kingdom Hearts, which he said like two is one of my all-time favorite games, like maybe my all-time favorite, but I will never deny that the dialogue can get really cringy at times. Like I'm talking about like teeth grindingly just like just painful to the ears at times.
Yeah, it was. And sorry, go on.
Nowhere is that more apparent than Chain of Memories, where if you watch if you watch all the cutscenes, the dialogue is basically just darkness, 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 heart, 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 darkness, 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 heart, heart, and it just goes on. It just drones on and on for like hours upon hours upon hours of that, and it's just like it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, because again, between 1 Chain of Memories and 3, I was like, okay, I do like 1 and 2. Let's play Chain of Memories, because I think actually I played Chain of Memories after 2. So I was like, okay, so Sora's still looks like he did Kingdom Hearts 1, but he hit puberty, so he's got the Kingdom Hearts 2 voice. I can understand that, it's been a while, so whatever. But like, yeah, it's the opening levels. It's like, what lines are Donald and Goofy are saying, because they sound like they sound so ridiculous. I'm like, they did sound like this in the first and second game. They sound like yeah, I'm gonna fight the darkness. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, right? And he sounds badass. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna stop the darkness. Yeah, and I'm like, Sora, come on, man. And also change those damn pants. I could see. I hated those damn pants that he wore too. Like, he looked like a damn clown.
It's always strange in the PS2 version of Chain of Memories how his voice is the Kingdom Hearts 2 one.
Yeah, that's the version I played. Yeah,
like his testes must have just dropped in like the second between the ending of 1 and the beginning of Chain of Memories. It's like he's like all like young happy Haley Joel Osment, and then you get to Chain of Memories, it's like, hey guys, I'm Sora, and it's like, oh god, like who the hell are you?
yeah,
like, you're not supposed to be like this for another year.
Yeah, because at least like if you played 2, if you did it kind of like playing Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, it would like make sense, and but in Chain of Memories, it's like your voice doesn't match your body, bro. Just stop. Like, ugh.
I actually started with 2. Like I played 1.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it, but I played 2, and I was like, right, this is great. And now I need to go back and play the other shit. And then I played 1. I love 1. Or correction, I love the PlayStation 4 version of 1. Like, I cannot stand what the camera is like in the PS2 version, where you have to use like R2 and L2 to move it. It's like, no, get that shit away from me.
Yeah, it's like, I think like, again, I did beat 1 on the PS2 version, but I hated the Maleficent dragon fight. I'm like, you can go to hell. You can go straight to whatever hell you come in there. No, because actually it's like, I actually had a fun time fighting her in her normal form when she was on the rock, right?
Yeah.
But like, when she turned to the dragon, I could not, like, I only could get. She had like fucking 4 or 5 bars of health. I'm like, okay, I can understand that. And you know, maybe I was a bit of a dumbass because I only ever used like my base stuff. So I used the base Keyblade against her. So you know.
Oh yeah, that's a big no.
Yeah, I'm actually, well, now that I think about it, back then as a kid, I'm surprised how far I went into the game using the base gear. Because, like, again, I only used the base, again, I used the base Keyblade, I used the base staff for Donald, and the base shield for Goofy, and you know, of course, I couldn't get through the Hercules challenges, whatever, that stuff. I was like, fuck that shit, I'm not doing that. You know, not saying I couldn't do it, but I was just like, you know, back then, yeah, it's like, I hated so much when I was trying to, like, beat Cloud. So it's like, I hate, I'll at least to me, and maybe the sore loser in me, but I hate when, like, you lose, you know, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, but, like, if you do lose, like, Leon is, like, kicks your ass, and Cloud kicks your ass, I'm like, what do these Final Fantasy characters have to do with Disney? Yeah, it was, like, you know, still fun, but...
It's a concept that they've never really... It's such a straightforward concept. My big problem with Kingdom Hearts in general is that they just way overdo it with the original material, where it's like they can bring in all this other stuff, like I fully expect Noctis to be in Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, that's the only Final Fantasy crossover that I'm, like, okay with, just because that is, like, the genesis of the franchise, where it's Disney plus Final Fantasy. That makes sense. But
you know,
they haven't really used Final Fantasy since 2. Like, 2 was the last time they really went gung-ho with using the Final Fantasy characters. Like, we see maybe, like, a few of them in Birth by Sleep, and that's really about it since then. Like, that's it. And it's been, like almost more than 12 years since, like, we really got to see, like, a big dedicated Final Fantasy world. So I hope for, like, one of my biggest hopes for 3 is that they bring back the Final Fantasy, because, like, Disney they have to do, we know they're going to do Disney, but the Final Fantasy is the part that they've been ignoring for a long time.
Yeah. It's like the one thing, I take it from your video that you said already, but the one thing I hope they don't do is don't add in any Marvel or Star Wars characters, because it just would not work.
Yeah.
It just would not work.
I don't like, I would rather, you know, if I were to choose between the two, I would rather see Star Wars than I would Marvel. Because Marvel, it's like, it just looks strange just having Marvel there. Like, Star Wars, fine, because Star Wars has had, like, a ride at Disneyland since I was, like, born. So I in my head, I kind of, not kind of, but even back then, I associated Star Wars with Disney to some capacity. So it's like, okay, I'd prefer it not go there, but I wouldn't, like, be kicking and screaming about it. But if Marvel... Yeah, but if Marvel was in there, I'd be like, no, you need to get that shit out of there, because I don't want to see, like, Iron Man and Spider-Man flying around in like a Manhattan, like, what would the world even be? Would it just be like Manhattan World or something?
Yeah, what, Avengers Tower in the background or some shit?
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to think. Well, I was gonna say as a joke, like, oh, well, they did have it's like, just keep with your Capcom and be like, oh wait, that game didn't work out. Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Like, but yeah, I was gonna say I would take the Pirates of the Caribbean 1,000 times over than freaking
I would too.
Marvel. And yeah, and even I'll admit, it's like, it's my least favorite world in my opinion. Like, I don't know what world it's called exactly.
Port Royal.
Port Roy?
Port Royal.
Yeah, Port Royal. It's like, I could take that over 1,000 times over, like, again, Manhattan Land or something. Because, well, actually, Mario did it really well, but, you know, Mario was by himself. It's not with some crossover.
Yeah. Mario Odyssey has enough weird shit in their New York world that it doesn't feel like it has the atmosphere of New York, but it's still distinct enough. Like, what's weird about Mario Odyssey, like, I've never really, even when it was first announced, I never had a problem with him being in the real world, like with people, like with actual human people walking around.
It's like everybody was like freaking out, and I'm like, you guys were perfectly fine with like a 4-foot tall blue hedgehog roaming around a city with normal people, and yet a fat Italian short plumber that's wrestling your gym. He's like, it's like, wow.
Have you played Odyssey yet?
No, well, I don't have a Switch, but I did play the demo.
Okay.
I did play the demo at Best Buy, and I was in the kind of Mexican land. I'm sorry.
Oh, the Mexican land.
I'm sorry.
The Sand Kingdom.
Yeah, Sand Kingdom. I apologize for that comment before, but anyways, I played I played the Sand Kingdom. New term.
I'm gonna call it the Mexican land from now on.
Oh my god, I played the Sand Kingdom segment, and I loved it. I loved the way Mario moved. I loved the way playing with his hat. His hat was like the funnest thing to do. Just throw around, use it to jump around and stuff like that. You know,
I don't think I could ever go back to like regular Mario now. Now that I've like played Odyssey, I'm like, I need that hat in every game now. Like, I don't care if it starts to feel the same. Like, I need that hat now.
Yeah, it's like I always loved that about Mario and Zelda. It's like Nintendo was always like, look, this game was good, but we still need to scale and rise up to the boundaries that we set before this other game, because because like
it needs to be different.
Yeah, I just wish everybody did that, aside from being like, yeah, we're just gonna do the same game. Everyone won't know the difference. Like,
I do too. Like, that's part of my like growing frustration with a lot of these games, is that they don't feel like you and I have talked about this before. It's like you and like I don't feel like things like all these like Call of Duty and Ubisoft games feel like events, because I know what I'm going to be getting. Like, it's literally just going to be like another gray and brown military thing. It's like a big whatever for me. But Mario, fundamentally, they are similar, because it is like, you're running around collecting things, you're fighting bosses, etc. Mm-hmm. But each game has their own distinct flavor to it. Like Mario, like Super Mario 64 is not like Odyssey, which is not like Sunshine, which is not like Galaxy. Like, they're all different. And like same with Zelda, where Zelda is not, Wind Waker is not like Majora's Mask, which is not like Ocarina of Time, which is not like Skyward Sword. It's like, which is definitely not like Breath of the Wild. Like, they all have their own thing, and it's a combination of like new whether they work or not. I appreciate that they try new things with their games, and they like spread them out far enough. Like, we've had like Skyward Sword came out in like 2011, so it was like 6 years between the last like mainline Zelda game, and that's great. Like, I love that. That's enough time to get people excited. But it's just when you start doing these games like every other year now, I just kind of like, like with the whole Assassin's Creed thing, where it's like, we took 1 year off, and I'm like, I don't think that's enough for me.
I was gonna say again, sorry to interrupt you, but I was gonna say real quick.
Go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick is that at least to me, right? It's like, a year. I was like, no, you gotta do 2 years, right? I was actually kind of like the guy, and then like now 2 years later, it's like, no, you gotta wait 3 or 4 more years. It's like, that's what I feel like the effort puts in. It's like, if you work on your game, especially the AAA variety, for 3 to 4 years, then I'd be like, okay, that seems to be enough time to make the game fully evolved. Because like, again, back then, a year, if you did once a year a game, it was like, no, it's shit. And then they tried to like save face by like, we do it once one game for every 2 years, and they somehow figured out a way to make it as lazy as the once a year thing. I'm like, how do you guys do? It baffles my mind. It's like, what's the
problem too with them working on the game for 3 years? It's like, it's the release window too, because like, you can have multiple studios working on multiple games for like 3 years, but it's like, if you don't release them in a way that where they feel like special things, it's just you're gonna get burned out on them. It's like all these Ubisoft like Jim Sterling did a recent video where it's like the he called it Ubification, which I completely agree with.
I heard about that video. I didn't watch it, but I heard about it.
Where it's like this sea of Ubisoft games that are just they're fundamentally the same. Like even if they are like the same, like different genres and different series, it's like they all feel the same. Like Assassin's Creed feels like The Crew, which feels like Watch Dogs, and I really like I love Watch Dogs 2. Yeah. I love some of the Far Cry games. I like some of the Assassin's Creed games, but I will not deny that they all feel very similar.
Yeah, like I heard that Far Cry 5 is really good. Again, that's what I heard. And you know, my brother is like, he looks at that and looks at Far Cry 3 and be like, I don't know, bro, it looks exactly the same. And I'd be like, hey, I'm not, you know, I understand, you know, it's, yeah. I mean, look at the last, like, look at Primal and 4, like, it feels the same, like,
yeah,
you know,
they're the same structure too, and it's just it's like this, it's almost like this cannibalism among all these other studios where they're just like feeding into each other. They're just borrowing ideas, like Warner Brothers is another really good example of that, where they've taken the Arkham combat and they've applied it to like 2 of their series now, where they put it in the Shadow of War games, and they put it into the Mad Max game that they did. It was like the same kind of combat. And then other studios look at that and go like, oh, we need to have combat like that, which even Spider-Man has combat like Batman.
Yeah,
I'm not knocking Spider-Man because it does look really good, but I'm just saying it's like they're kind of just over cannibalizing all these different ideas. And I think Nintendo is like one of the few that really doesn't, like with the exception of some stuff from Breath of the Wild, which I feel like they do the Ubisoft Towers thing, and even those that have a twist on them, but there are things in like so many other games that just share so many different things, and it's just, it gets exhausting. Just like you start to feel like you're playing the same game, even though it's from a different series from a different company. It's frustrating.
Yeah, because, like, I'm really starting to get into, like, indie developers, and, of course, I got back into, like, playing CD Projekt Red's Witcher series, and it's, like, seeing Witcher's 1 to free and evolves, and, you know, they don't do the same freaking mechanics over and over like the other games, and it's, like, of course, like, I'm excited for Cyberpunk because I know it's going to be different. It's not, they're not gonna, they're not gonna be borrowing... again, they're gonna try, and you know, it's for something where they borrow it from like books and tabletop RPGs. It still feels original, like, yeah, you know, it's like, say what you want, that like, again, they borrowed it from a book or whatever. It's like, it still is a fun game, much better than like boring out 4, if you know what I mean, like, yeah. It's like, oh, we are a team of all these developers. And CD Projekt Red is like, probably they're not as much as like, I'm not Bethesda, and they're like, we'll do our best and we're going to provide you with good products. And then both their games come out, and everyone's like, this, and you know, going out to Bore Out 4, and it's like, this is boring. And then it's like, they go to Witcher 3, and it's like, wow, this guy may be a preset character and not like the Boar Survivor, but hey, at least I can still make choices and he still feels genuine. You know, it's like, again for Geralt, I do like
Fallout 4 though. Like I kind of like Fallout 4, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, I cannot stand the game because it is so boring, because the Soul Survivor is like, again, between Geralt and the Soul Survivor, Geralt's much better. I was gonna say, like, for a mutant that lost all of his emotions, he certainly has a lot more emotional palettes than what this guy is. You know, because the Soul Survivor, like, he's basically a Witcher because he has no emotion whatsoever. Oh, my son got killed. Well, better to go find that Nuka-Cola bottle.
Better go farm these melons and save this town from starvation.
Even though my son is probably out there, you know.
Yeah. with going back to the whole Sony thing.
Yeah.
Are you like what are your thoughts on Detroit? The Detroit Become Human.
Oh god, because I'm like who's the writer again?
David Cage.
Oh my god, it's like at least to me personally, it's like I actually played one of his like previous games back in the 90s or so, Omnicron. That was the most boring game I've ever played, and the controls were god awful, and and you know
I've always wanted to play that one, but I've played all his other stuff.
Yeah, I got interested because, you know, David Bowie was in it, and he made this amazing sound like intro soundtrack for it, which I was like, oh man, I gotta play this. And then, you know, it's like playing with a keyboard is, again, it's a nightmare to do. It's like, it's not I mean, I'm stuttering because I'm like, I can't understand this game. But anyways, back on track. I'll give it this. I loved Heavy Rain. I'll give Cage this. He was a really good writer with that one. Granted, it was a bit cringy at times with Jason, and I'm like,
Sean.
Yeah, and it's crazy. But then like I'm like, okay, so what else do you got for me? And I see these other games that he made, and I'm like, I think I watched them on YouTube because I didn't want to play him, to be honest. And I was like, oh my god, his writing got so much worse. And I will give Detroit this. It looks like it's like, oh, I hope there's a cyberpunk game that comes out, kind of a cyberpunk game that comes out before Cyberpunk 2077. And Detroit looks like it may fill my quench, but at the same time, it's being written by this guy, and I'm like,
yeah.
And the thing is though, right? It looks beautiful. Like, it looks like I'm in a kind of cyberpunk world, you know? And
I played the demo. It looked gorgeous.
Yeah, the demo looked gorgeous, you know, and it felt like I'm genuinely from a cyberpunk like future. And you know, the way it's raining, and then like it frolics down the characters' faces and all that. I'm like, that's, you know, I'm pretty sure that's real. And the way they do hand gestures and the way their mouths genuinely move, you know, I'm pretty sure they use mocap animation for that. You know, which again, I got nothing against because it's very good. And the plot seems okay, but I'm like, you know, again, it's like Cage has a tendency to make some really shitty writing, so it's either gonna be like massive cringe, and like he's probably gonna use like IRL elements and be like, no, we don't need that, because like, I think, what was it, Machine Lives Matter or something? No, that was Deus Ex. Deus Ex did that.
That's right. the Og Lives Matter or something. Oh my god. Oh.
I was like, no, actually, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I really hope David Cage doesn't look at that and be like, you know, I feel inspired. And be like, no! Be like, please, God, no.
My thing with Detroit is, I'm looking forward to it. I will more than likely buy it day one, even if I hear like really, like, unless I hear like really, really bad things about it. Like, if I hear decent things about it, I'm still gonna be like, all right, I will give this a try, just because it is, you know, a Sony exclusive and whatever, and they have a really good track record with the PS4. It looks beautiful. Like I played the Connor demo with the hostage at PSX. It was really cool. It was one of my favorite things there. But like you said, it like with David Cage, he's gone on record to say things like, this game is just about androids. It's not about social issues. It's not about racial politics or whatever. But,
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
But then he goes and sets it in Detroit, which is like a hotbed for political stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I think the beginning of the last E3 trailer, he had like like a black a black android come out and start singing a slave song.
Yeah, I was like, what the?
Like directly into the camera.
Sorry.
And what else was there? There was like dialogue with like where he's like he says things like I write where the story takes me. Like when he was getting questioned about the whole like potentially like child abuse thing with,
yeah, I heard about that too, and I was like, okay, this is going weird. Like Cage.
Yeah, which I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem at all with games exploring, you know, really like beyond like violence and gore. Like I'm more than okay with games exploring things like child abuse and like rape and things like that. If they are done well, and that's when like you really need to, like, even people like Kojima, who I think is a genius, like when he tried doing things like rape in the like Ground Zeroes, that just came across as like, ugh, like yeah, maybe don't. That's not your forte. Like just don't do that, because like he's contrasting it with like weird goofy shit, and then you'll have a character try to rape Quiet, and it's just, and while her like the camera's like panned on her ass and her tits, and it's like, no, just don't do that. Like don't make us. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick. I was like, you can be weird, but don't be too weird. Like, don't go too crazy, Kojima.
Well, go crazy, but don't try to then be like, oh, but I'm being serious and artful about rape, and it's like, no, don't do that. Just if you like seeing boobies, if you like seeing like naked women and everything, just come out and admit it. Just be like Yoko Taro who did Nier Automata. Just come out and admit, I like looking at women. That I'm more than okay with, compared to like we have a narrative reason why Quiet is like this. But anyway, back to Detroit. It's just when he says things like what was it where it's like what was the quote he used?
I was gonna say, what's that word where it's like, oh, you say you're not doing it, but you're actually doing it? What's the word? Like inconsistency or something?
Yeah, like major, major inconsistency on his hypocritical or
exactly.
Where he's talking about like, well, I'm going where the story is taking me, and it's like, no, dude, that's not how writing goes. Like writing, you don't just lay back with your eyes closed and like let your finger like your hand create, like, develop a mind of its own and start and just go, whoa, that's what my hand wrote, that's what I'm going to turn into this game. It's like, no, it like the amount of time that one spends animating these scenes and doing the acting and the motion, like it's taken like 5 years to make this game. And I like when he says things like, oh, I don't want to, like, I'm like, this doesn't have a meaning. Like, you know, I believe the artist should be allowed to do whatever. And it's like, well, I believe that too, but when you start throwing out excuses like that, and like hand waving it away, it's like, no, that's just being a shitty writer.
Yeah, being lazy too, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But like even that trailer with the like the child abuse, it's like that. I was kind of like, ugh, like it's really cringy. Where the dad is like, the dad's like, who are you talking to? And he's like slurring his words, and it's like the stereotype drunk abusive dad, and it's like okay.
I know it's supposed to like be like, oh, you're supposed to relate to these machines, that's like these machines are starting to gain this intelligence, but I'm like, you know, you could do something else other than the abuse thing. Yeah, like
you could have it, like, I would honestly prefer it if the game was just about Connor. Like if it was like, I like that David Cage is going back to the multi-character thing, even though I'm not a fan of Heavy Rain. I like that he's going back to the multi-character thing. I like that it's like three different. I think he said he brought in like three different composers with three different cinematographers, like to make each story feel distinct. I like that. I appreciate that. But all the things that I've seen, I would rather it just be Connor.
Yeah, because like
Connor's the one that's the most interesting to me.
Wait, it's like, correct me if I'm wrong. Connor is the cop.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say, it's like, I like Connor. I really don't like Marcus for some reason, because Marcus is just kind of like, again, he's like the rebel robot, right?
Yeah. Not a lot of depth.
Yeah, exactly. Two things. Not a lot of depth, and he feels very shoehorned in. Like, oh, we gotta have someone in who's a rebel and all. I'm like, you don't really need to do that. Like,
yeah,
you know, Connor's like perfect on his own. Well, who's the third character gonna be? Or we don't know who the third character is.
Kara, the female one that saves the girl from being beaten to death.
Again, yeah, it's like I really don't like. Yeah, again, yeah, you said it. It's like I just don't see, the two of them good. I only like Connor.
Like Kara, like there was like the very recent interview where they showed like non-animated footage where you just see the acting, and I was like, oh my god, like I was like cringing where it's like the little girl was just. Ooh, like kid actors are normally bad, and this is one of those cases where it's just like, ooh, like I don't know about this. Like it was giving me like Sean and Jason flashbacks to like how cringy the kid dialogue and the kid acting was in Heavy Rain. I was like, if that little girl is gonna be a central character, I think I'm gonna have like a real problem with her on like an acting and writing front.
Yeah,
it's just generic little girl that I must protect for some reason. Like it looks like she doesn't have any kind of like spark or personality like Ellie or Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, and yeah, it would be funny if I predicted it right, that it's like, oh, Marcus and Kara suck. But yeah. Connor is the one that steals the show. And, like, yeah, be like, oh, I hate when I have to play... If I'm predicting your review as it goes along, it's like, oh, I hate playing those two characters, but I love playing Connor.
Yeah, even Connor, I like the investigative stuff.
Yeah.
But seeing that he has a partner who's, like, anti-android, I'm like, oh, we gotta shove that shit in his storyline, too. Where it's like... And I love Clarence Brown. I love him, but I don't know about.
Who's Clarence Brown again? He was
Mr. Krabs, Lex Luthor from Justice League.
I still can't believe Lex Luthor and Mr. Krabs have the same.
I know, right? It's so weird. But he's in it. He's like the anti-android partner that he's teamed with, and I'm kind of like. And I've seen footage of him where he's like threatening to throw Connor off a building or something, and I'm like, I've seen that relationship so many times in other things.
Yeah, and
where
it's just
it's
so
like the veteran cop who's the racist or the anti-robot or whatever, and he's teamed with the younger one, and it's like I've seen that so many times, and I'm like I was so disappointed when I saw that. Even though I love Clarence Brown, but I'm like with David Cage's past history, I don't know.
Again, yeah, it's like, look, Clarence, you're a good actor, but you realize that you have a shitty script right now in your hands. Like,
Willem Dafoe's a good actor, and he was saddled with like just this boring guy in Beyond.
I know, right? Like, oh my god, he's amazing, and he had to deal with a shitty script, but
yeah.
I was gonna say anyways, it was like I wish they would have done the more like RoboCop and Clarence. Clarence, I think her name was in the movies, because then it would have been an interesting, like, somewhat breath of fresh air perspective, because it's like, hey, this guy actually gives a shit about his robot partner. He doesn't give a shit what anybody else says about him. It's. But then, of course, David Cage would come up to me, probably be like, but no, you don't understand. That would mean no diversity. Yeah, it's not emotional. No diversity. Be like, well, you know, I feel like I have no idea how to explain this to your fat ass. So.
Oh God. I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of, before this gets out of my mind, Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, I haven't played the fully released version, but I did play the betas, and me and my friend Anzac, we both said the same thing. If there's if there's no form of character progression, then this game is going to be boring and stale. And lo and behold, Rare was like, "Your wishes are command," and I was like, "No, that's not what I meant."
It's not what we wished. God damn it.
Yeah, it's funny too because I made a video and I was hoping they'd seen that, but I guess they just ignored it because like, nah, that's not gonna make us any money. And I'm like, okay.
There have been videos where I've like directly appealed to companies like, please do not do this, and they did it anyway, and I'm like, well,
yeah, oh my God, yeah. Even the fanboys like are sometimes they're like, please don't do this, and they're like, yeah, you're our biggest fan, but we're still not gonna listen to you. Like, what the hell? I mean, I know there's a point to like taking the criticism from your fans and not taking the criticism, because sometimes the criticism is not really criticism, you're just bullshitting, but still, it's like in this scenario, they should have taken the criticism, because like, again, it's like, it's so boring. It looks like it's like a gold turd. It look well, not a gold turd. It's like a cool looking painting, whatever. It's cool to look at, right? But like sooner or later you're gonna get bored of it. It's like, I don't want to look at it anymore. I want to look at something else that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like Sea of Thieves. It's a great idea. That's the thing that frustrates me the most about.
I know, right?
I've done like multiple videos about Rare where it's like, I want Rare to. I don't necessarily like need Rare to do Banjo-Kazooie. I don't necessarily need them to do Conquer, but it's like, I feel like their potential is just like, even though it's no longer the Rare that made those games, I just feel like it's like, look, there is a reason why Microsoft bought you guys. It's like, look, just do the games that people want you to do. Like, even if you want to do this multiplayer pirate thing, just don't do it like everybody else. And the fact that, like, I think so many people are already burned out on this whole like games as a service thing, this whole like live services thing.
Yeah,
I think they just released it at like the worst possible time, particularly after the whole Battlefront 2 thing, where they're just like, oh, this game is a live service that doesn't have any content, like barely has any content at launch, that doesn't justify $60. And it's like, I think a long time ago, people would have been more, not okay with it, but they would have been more like, oh, whatever, all right. But after things like Evolve, with that failing, and then Battleborn with that failing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh boy.
My God, that was, sorry, but I was gonna say real quick. Oh, sorry, you go first.
But like, and then especially after like the original Battlefront, where that was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, this barely has any content for $60.
And it's so boring.
Yeah. I think releasing it in 2018 after all the shit that has happened was like the worst possible thing they could have done. Like, just this kind of game. And I'm not saying Rare needs to have like amazing foresight, but they need to be able to, like, if they want to commit to this kind of game, then they need to do it in a format and in a way that will please people. Because if they really wanted it to be like, I'm sure a lot of people would have been okay with Sea of Thieves being like this if it was released exclusively on the Game Pass for like $10 a month. Like, yeah, like if they weren't offering it for like an upfront price of $60, I think people would have been more okay with that.
Yeah, I think the biggest cringe moment I had with Sea of Thieves was watching Microsoft waste their money on the commercials for it, and they literally broke a Guinness World Record for this. And I'd be like, if I saw the guy play, I'd be like, yeah, this game is still boring.
Wasn't that like, the bananas that they did?
Yeah, what?
There was a thing where they made like gold bananas from like they made like a golden version of the bananas from Sea of Thieves.
Still pretty boring to look at and eat.
Yeah, no, yeah. I gotta look up how much that thing cost, but it was like some of the most ridiculous marketing stuff I've ever seen, and I'm just like why? Just why? Like it offers, how much was it? Offers I think this is the euros. It's like 80,000 euros for these golden bananas.
Who the hell would want to waste time with that?
Exactly. Like, I'm just like, why? Just make your pirate game, have it be a bundle. You can do your controller as well, which the controller they made for it looks fucking cool. But
yeah, I'll give them that. You know.
But it's like, don't do the banana. It was $100,000 for people in the U.S. $100,000.
That always boggles my mind. Those pre-orders that cost more than like $1,000, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody's gonna buy that shit.
Yeah. 18-karat gold bananas.
It's like, what am I supposed to do? Just watch it as it rots?
Yeah. Just look at it like, oh, well, I have these. Okay.
I spent all this money on this damn bananas. It's
ridiculous.
I know. It's again, I think like if I did have to do the price range, well, actually, again, it's like they definitely should have at least taken a year or two more to make this, because again, it just feels like it's like oh my god, like everyone said the same thing, and I agree with them, of course. It's like they're charging $60 for an early access game. They're basically doing DayZ. Yes. It's DayZ all over again. And I'm like, oh my god, you guys are not serious about this. Like, yeah, we are. I'm like, I would rather play 100 sessions of Ukulele than play Sea of Thieves again, because it is so boring.
I don't know.
Because I don't know. Because like because at least Ukulele, there's shit to do. In Sea of Thieves, there's nothing. I go into a boat. I sail for the seas. Nobody's there. Okay, I guess. I will say though, again, I still wish Rare would just not make a Banjo-Kazooie again. Just make a collectathon platformer.
Make another Viva Pinata. Do something. Like, make something weird like Viva Pinata. Don't make these boring games as a services thing. Just make like a single player Pinata simulator. I don't know. Just do something that actually is like different. Because they throw this line around how like this is the most ambitious game that Rare's ever done, and it's like, not it's really, because
it's like Crobecat. I don't know if you know Crobecat. It's like he put that in, and he edited it so perfectly, and it's like everybody's like, I love, of course, the like counterback. It's like, oh, it's the most ambitious game we've ever put in, and then it's like we see this, it's like it's so boring, like there's nothing to do.
It's just a barren waste, and that whole, what pisses me off the most about
what's up? Yeah, what's up? Tell me.
The whole concept of these games where the idea is the appeal is you need to make your own fun. Like that line was thrown around for I had coworkers in the past like tell me like when the original like vanilla Destiny 1 came out, and it was like fucking boring as shit, and like there was like barely anything to do after the quote campaign unquote. And they were like, oh, well, dicking around with your friends is fun, and it's all that. And it's like, yeah, but I can dick around with my friends, like, in real life. Like, I can go out to, like, abandoned warehouses near where I live and get a shopping cart and just push around people in a shopping cart. Like, that's dicking around with friends. It's like when I pay $60 for a game, I don't want the crutch to be... I don't want one of the features to be you get to dick around with your friends. Like, you can do that with any game. You can do that with Call of Duty. You can do that with Battlefield 1. You can do that with The Division. You can do that with all these number of other games that offer co-op. You can do that in A Way Out. You can dick around A Way Out. We dicked around A Way Out. I did it in A Way Out. That is not a feature of A Way Out. That is an optional thing where you get to create your own fun in a way that maybe the game developer didn't intentionally design for you to do. And I'm not knocking that. What I am knocking are these companies and these people that say that is the reason that's worth $60. No, it isn't. No, it fucking isn't. Because I know
like, I've seen like these Kickstarter games, like, and they're early access, right? I've seen them put more effort and like, you know, and of course they put in their thing where it's like, oh, you could do your fun, but it's like there's still options where it's like, oh, you can go to NPCs, do quests, you know, have fun, this or that. And what?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. And it's like, but of course with Sea of Thieves, it's like, it's the same boring quests, the same boring traversal. I mean, I can understand. It's a ship and going to the sea. I'm not dissing on that. It just feels like, again, there's no... I tried to find the fun. It's like, where's the fun? And there's no fun to be had in this game, unfortunately. Like,
there's no meat on the bones.
Yeah. I can't even see the freaking Kraken. They laserfied the Kraken. Like, you just shoot it. You don't even get, like from Angry Joe said, you don't even get a reward for killing the fucking Kraken. I'm like, that is bullshit.
That blows my mind. Because they made this big deal about the Kraken. Like, when people were playing the beta, like, close to launch, and they were like, there's not a lot in this. And Rare was like, oh, don't worry. We have a Kraken. And everyone was like, oh, shit, for real?
Yeah.
There's a Kraken? Oh, my. And they even had it, like, at the end of, like, the launch trailer or whatever. And it was, like, this giant, like, the tentacles were coming out. And that was meant, I assumed that was just, like, a tease of what...
Yeah, I wanted to be. I wanted to do like Pirates of the Caribbean 2. I wanted to be like Jack Sparrow and shoot the fucking and then slice it with my sword. And you know, again, I'm disappointed by fucking.
Where it, like the Kraken's mouth comes out of the water and it's like all these teeth, and it like maybe like when it roars, like your screen gets covered with its like saliva or something like in Pirates of the Caribbean.
That sounds way better than what I experienced in.
It's just so like that is a game like I haven't. I'm gonna spoil this right now. Like I haven't played the final version of this game. It's still gonna be on my most disappointing games at the end of the year.
Yeah, me too.
I played the beta. I have every fucking, I have an idea of what it was like, and the beta bored the shit out of me just playing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like this idea too of like you get to be a pirate, live out your pirate fantasies, and it's like cool, awesome. I get to do that with my friends, great. Well, there's not a lot to do to live out your pirate fantasies. Like, can you go to like this living, breathing, hidden town that's on an island somewhere and get drunk with your friends and interact with NPCs and swap stories and get into like Five Finger Fillet or something like that? No. Can you go like to like this unique area that's like this, boss battle, and it has like people that are actually like NPCs that are actually like yell things at you like, yo, no. Can you encounter other pirates on the high seas that are NPCs that have like legendary ships? No, you can't. It's like basic things like that. Just living out your pirate fantasies, and you can't do it. Like you could do that in Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah, I was gonna say Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's like that is more appealing to me, and that game is like what 4 year don't
almost
tell me.
5 years old.
Yeah, 5 years old, and it still looks like it's a much better experience than, Sea of Thieves. I'm like, I don't like Ubisoft, but again, I gotta give them props for that game.
I love that game.
Yeah, because they had a good team that knew what the heck they were doing, and that also reminds me real quick. It's like. Do you think that Rare did this all on their own, or Microsoft kind of nudged them and be like, hey, can you actually do this instead? And Rare was like, no. It's like, well, we're paying you, so, like how... go on.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's...
okay.
I think it's the people that left Rare, took, these were the guys that were, like, interested in, making things like Viva Pinata and Banjo-Kazooie and whatever, like all the weird stuff. But your problem is you're left with the people that now are, like within the Microsoft culture that are at Rare, and they look at, they're getting orders from Microsoft and all that, because unlike a company like Insomniac or Platinum Games, when they were working with Microsoft, like Microsoft didn't have any kind of say in how the game was going to go. They had a say in how the marketing would go, but not how the games would go. Because Microsoft owns Rare, they have that ability to influence the game far beyond like some of their other shit that they've teamed up with other studios for. So I think there is a lot of Microsoft influence in Sea of Thieves, like a lot of it. But I also think it's kind of like Rare maybe just didn't have not the time, but like they didn't have the manpower to create something like this. And I think they kind of were trying to create this false sense of community. Like what blows my mind the most, it's like they had that insider program for like a good 2 years. And all the way back in the alpha, from what I saw, that ended up being the main game, basically. Kind of. So it's like, I don't understand how a company like that can bring out this insider program and be like, hey, come try our game out for a couple years and then help us shape this game into what it's going to be. And it's like, not a lot has changed. Not a lot of like quality life additions, not a lot of big additions. It's just kind of flat. So I don't understand how Rare can do something like that, even if they weren't, under the influence of Microsoft. Like I don't get it, and I'd be very interested to see what this game is gonna, what the community is gonna be like in like 6 months to a year.
Yeah,
like, I want to see.
Yeah, because like I mean, so far it's like so far that I've heard, it's like it's two things. Rare is like, oh, don't worry, we'll give out more content, and then the players are already bitching because someone already got legendary pirate status, and he quote unquote cheated. Even though, again, I'm like, and I'll admit, at this point, I'm like, why should you guys care? I mean, he's acting like a pirate, so
yeah,
that
whole thing was ridiculous.
I know,
so,
it was like
stupid.
And yeah, if I just came up to them, I'd be like, why do you guys even care? The game's boring anyways and filled with any content, so why should you give a crap?
Yeah. it's bullshit. That whole thing, just bullshit.
Yeah.
Is that a good place for us to wrap up for today?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, looking forward to talking more with you. Oh, before I go, so, Claylex.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Find your glorious stuff.
Okay, so you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. I do have a Mixer account, but that's kind of down low. Of course, I'm on Discord. I think that's it. Of course, I have Steam, too. I got a Steam account. And a Blizzard account. And I think that's it.
Alright. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Claylex. It's been quite a pleasure to talk with you.
You're very welcome.
I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.